Those bristles all flew off, and they were men, but younger than before, and much more handsome and taller. Then they recognized me. Each embraced me tightly in his arms and started sobbing in desperation. So the house rang loud with noise, and even she herself pitied them. She came near to me and said, "Odysseus, you always find solutions. Go now to your swift ship beside the sea. First drag the ship to land and bring your stores and all your gear inside the caves. Then come back with your loyal men." My heart agreed, and I went down to my swift ship on the shore. I found my loyal men beside the ship, weeping and shedding floods of tears. "Oh, Master, we are glad to see you back. It is as if we had come home ourselves to Ithaca, our fatherland. But tell us about how all the other friends were killed." I reassured them, saying, "First we must drag up the ship to land and put the stores and all our gear inside the caves. Then hurry, all of you, come with me and see your friends inside the goddess Circe's holy house, eating and drinking. They have food enough to last forever." So they went up, away from ship and shore. Meanwhile, Circe had freed the other men, and in her house she gently bathed them, rubbing them with oil. She had them dressed in woolen cloaks and tunics. We found them feasting in the hall. The men, seeing each other face to face again, began to weep. Their sobbing filled the hall, and the goddess stood beside me and said, "King clever Odysseus, Laertes' son. Now stop encouraging this lamentation. I know you and your men have suffered greatly out on the fish-filled sea and on dry land from hostile men. But it is time to eat and drink some wine. You must get back the drive you had when you set out from Ithaca. You are worn down and broken-hearted, always dwelling on pain and wandering. You never feel joy at heart. You have endured too much." We did as she had said. Then every day for a whole year we feasted there on meat and sweet, strong wine. But when the year was over, when months had waned and seasons turned and each long day had passed its course, my loyal men called to me and said, "Be guided by the gods. Now it is time to think of our own country. If you are fated to survive and reach your high-roofed house and your forefathers' land." My warrior soul agreed. So all day long till sunset we kept sitting at the feast of meat and sweet, strong wine. But when the sun set and the darkness came, they went to bed all through the shadowy palace. I went up to Circe's splendid bed and touched her knees in supplication, and the goddess listened. Circe, I said, fulfill the vow you made to send me home. My heart now longs to go. My men are also desperate to leave. Whenever you are absent, they exhaust me with constant lamentation. And she answered, Laertes' son, great King Odysseus, master of every challenge, you need not remain here in my house against your will. But first you must complete another journey. Go to the house of Hades and the dreadful Persephone, and ask the Theban prophet, the blind Tiresias, for his advice. Persephone has given him alone full understanding, even now in death. The other spirits flit around as shadows. That broke my heart, and sitting on the bed I wept, and lost all will to live and see the shining sun. When I was done with sobbing and rolling round in grief, I said to her, But Circe, who can guide us on this journey? No one before has ever sailed to Hades by ship. And right away the goddess answered, You are resourceful, King Odysseus. You need not worry that you have no pilot to steer your ship. Set up your mast, let fly your white sails, and sit down. The north wind's breath will blow the ship. When you have crossed the stream of ocean, you will reach the shore, where willows let fall their dying fruit, and towering poplars grow up in the forest of Persephone. Tie up your ship in the deep eddying ocean and go into the spacious home of Hades. The Pyriphlegethon and Cocytus, a tributary of the Styx, both run into Acheron. The flowing water resounds beside the rock. Brave man, go there and dig a hole a cubit wide and long, and round it pour libations for the dead. First honey mix, then sweet wine, and the third of water. Sprinkle barley and beseech the spirits of the dead. Vow, if you reach the barren land of Ithaca, to kill a heifer in your halls, the best you have uncalved, and you will heap the fire with meat and offer to Tiresias alone, a ram pure and black, the best of all your flock. When you have prayed to all the famous dead, slaughter one ram and one black ewe, directing the animals to Erebus, but turn yourself away towards the gushing river. Many will come. Then tell your men to skin the sheep that lie there, killed by ruthless bronze, and burn them with a prayer to mighty Hades and terrible Persephone. Then draw your sword and sit. Do not let them come near the blood until you hear Tiresias. The prophet will soon come, and he will tell you of your journey, measured out across the fish-filled sea, and how you will get home. Then I walked round all through the house and called my men. I stood beside each one and roused them with my words. Wake up! Now go! No more dozing and sweet sleep. We have to go. The goddess gave us instructions. They did as I said. Perhaps you think you are going home, but Circe says we have to go towards the house of Hades and Persephone to meet Tiresias, the Theban spirit. At that their hearts were broken. They sat down right there and wept and tore their clothes, but all their lamentation did no good. We went down to our speedy ship beside the sea, despite our grief. We shed abundant tears. Then Circe came and tied up one black ewe and one ram by the ship and slipped away easily. Who can see the gods go by unless they wish to show themselves to us? Book 11. We reached the sea, and first of all we launched the ship into the sparkling salty water, set up the mast and sails, and brought the sheep on board with us. We were still grieving, weeping in floods of tears. But beautiful, dread Circe, the goddess who can speak in human tongues, sent us a wind to fill our sails, fair wind befriending us behind the dark blue prow. We made our tackle ship-shape, then set down. The wind and pilot guided straight our course. The sun set. It was dark in all directions. We reached the limits of the deep-flowing ocean. We beached our ship, drove out the sheep, and went to seek the stream of ocean where the goddess had told us we must go. Eurylochus and Perimedes made the sacrifice. I drew my sword and dug a hole, a cubit widthways and lengthways, and I poured libations for all the dead. First honey mix, sweet wine, and lastly water. On the top I sprinkled barley, and made a solemn vow that if I reached my homeland, I would sacrifice my best young heifer, still uncalved, and pile the altar high with offerings for the dead. I promised for Tiresias as well, a pure black sheep, the best in all my flock. So, with these vows, I called upon the dead. I took the sheep and slit their throats above the pit. Black blood flowed out. The spirits came up out of Erebus and gathered around. Teenagers, girls, and boys, the old who suffered for many years, and fresh young brides whom labor destroyed in youth, and many men cut down in battle by bronze spears, still dressed in armor, stained with their blood. From every side they crowded round the pit, with eerie cries. Pale fear took hold of me. I roused my men and told them to flay the sheep that I had killed, and burn them, and pray to Hades and Persephone. I drew my sword and sat on guard, preventing the spirits of the dead from coming near the blood, till I had met Tiresias. Then came the spirit of my own dead mother, Autolycus' daughter, Antislea. Whom I had left alive when I went off to holy Troy. On seeing her, I wept in pity. But despite my bitter grief, I would not let her near the blood till I talked to Tiresias. The prophet came, holding a golden scepter, and he knew me, and said, "King under Zeus, Odysseus, adept survivor. Why did you abandon the sun, poor man, to see the dead, and this place without joy? Step back now from the pit. Hold up your sharp sword so that I may drink the blood and speak with you." At that I sheathed my silver-studded sword. When he had drunk the murky blood, the famous prophet spoke. "Odysseus, you think of going home as honey sweet, but gods will make it bitter. I think Poseidon will not cease to feel incensed because you blinded his dear son. You must suffer, but you can get home if you control your urges and your men. Turn from the purple depths and sail your ship towards the island of Thrinacia. There you will find grazing cows and fine fat sheep, belonging to the god who sees and hears all things, the sun god. If you leave them be, keeping your mind fixed on your journey home, you may still get to Ithaca, despite great losses. But if you hurt those cows, I see disaster for your ship and for your men. If you yourself escape, you will come home late and exhausted, in a stranger's boat, having destroyed your men. And you will find invaders eating your supplies at home, courting your wife with gifts. Then you will match the suitors' violence and kill them all. I prophesy the signs of things to come. Gentle death will come for you, far from the sea, of comfortable old age, your people flourishing. So it will be. I said, Tiresias, I hope the gods spin out this fate for me. But tell me this, and tell the truth. I saw my mother's spirit sitting in silence near the blood, refusing even to talk to me or meet my eyes. My lord, how can I make her recognize that it is me? At once he made his answer. That is an easy matter to explain. Whenever you allow one of these spirits to come here near the blood, it will be able to speak the truth to you. As soon as you push them away, they have to leave again. With that, Tiresias, the prophet spirit, had finished. He departed to the house of Hades. I stayed rooted there in place until my mother came and drank the blood. She knew me then and spoke in tones of grief. My child, how did you come here through this darkness while you were still alive? This place is hard for living men to see. There are great rivers and dreadful gulfs, including the great ocean, which none have to cross on foot. One must have a ship. Have you come wandering here so far from Troy with ships and crew? Have you not yet arrived in Ithaca, nor seen your wife at home? I answered, Mother, I was forced to come to Hades to consult the prophet spirit, Theban Tiresias. I have not yet come near to Greece, nor reached my home country. I have been lost and wretchedly unhappy since I first followed mighty Agamemnon to Troy, the land of horses, to make war upon the people there. But tell me, how was sad death brought upon you? By long illness? Or did the archer Artemis destroy you with gentle arrows? Tell me too about my father and the son I left behind. Are they still honored as kings? Or has another taken over, saying I will not return? And tell me what my wife is thinking, and her plans. Does she stay with our son and focus on his care, or has the best of the Achaeans married her? My mother answered, She stays firm. Her heart is strong. She is still in your house, and all her nights are passed in misery, and days in tears. But no one has usurped your throne. Telemachus still tends the whole estate, unharmed, and feasts in style, as lords should do, and he is always asked to council meetings. Your father stays out in the countryside. He will not come to town. He does not sleep on a true bed. In winter he sleeps inside by the fire, just lying in ashes with his slaves. His clothes are rags. In summer and at harvest, the piles of fallen leaves are beds for him. He lies there grieving, full of sorrow, longing for your return. His old age is not easy, and that is why I met my fate and died. It was not some sickness that sucked all the strength from my limbs, with long and cruel wasting. No, it was missing you, Odysseus, my sunshine. Your sharp mind and your kind heart. That is what took sweet life from me. Then in my heart I wanted to embrace the spirit of my mother. She was dead, and I did not know how. 3 times I tried, longing to touch her, but 3 times her ghost flew from my arms, like shadows or dreams. Sharp pain pierced deeper in me as I cried, "No, Mother, why do you not stay for me, and let me hold you, even here in Hades?" Let us wrap loving arms around each other and find a frigid comfort in shared tears. But is this really you? Or has the Queen sent me a phantom to increase my grief? She answered, "Oh, my child, you are the most unlucky man alive. Persephone is not deceiving you. This is the rule for mortals when we die. Our muscles cease to hold the flesh and skeleton together. As soon as life departs from our white bones, the force of blazing fire destroys the corpse. The spirit flies away and soon is gone, just like a dream. Now hurry to the light. Remember all these things, so you may tell your wife in times to come." The spirit of my mother turned and went to Hades, and masses of the dead came thronging round with eerie cries, and cold fear seized me, lest the dreadful Queen Persephone might send the monster's head, the Gorgon, out of Hades. So then I hurried back and told my men to climb on board the ship and loose the cables. They did so and sat down among the benches. The current bore the ship down River Ocean, first with the help of oars, and then fair wind. Book 12. Our ship sailed out beyond the stream of ocean, across the waves of open sea, and came to Aea, home of the newborn dawn, who dances in meadows with the beams of Helios. We beached the ship upon the sandy shore, and disembarked, and there we fell asleep while waiting for bright morning. When dawn came, born early, with her fingertips like petals, Circe, the well-groomed goddess, was aware that we were back from Hades, and she hurried to meet us there with her slaves. They carried bread and meat and bright red wine. She stood among us and said, "This is incredible. You all went alive to Hades. You will be twice dead when other people only die one time." Eat now and stay here drinking wine all day. At dawn sail on. I will explain your route in detail so no evil thing can stitch a means to hurt you on the land or the sea. I am a stubborn man, but I agreed. So there we sat and feasted on the meat and strong sweet wine until the sun went down. When darkness fell, the men slept by the ship. Then Circe took my hand and led me off apart from them, and questioned me in detail. I told her everything. The Lady Circe replied at last, "That quest is over now, so listen, and I will give you good instructions." Another god will make sure you remember. First, you will reach the sirens, who bewitch all passers-by. If anyone goes near them in ignorance and listens to their voices, that man will never travel to his home, and never make his wife and children happy to have him back with them again. The sirens who sit there in their meadow will seduce him with piercing songs. Around about them lie great heaps of men, flesh rotting from their bones, their skin all shriveled. Use wax to plug your sailors' ears as you row past, so they are deaf to them. But if you wish to hear them, your men must fashion you to your ship's mast, by hand and foot, straight and upright, with tight ropes. So bound, you can enjoy the siren song. But if you beg your men to set you free, they have to tie you down with firmer knots. Once your ships have passed the dreaded sirens, you will meet two rocks. One reaches up to the heaven with its peak, surrounded by blue fog that never clears. Right in the middle lies a murky cave that faces west, towards dark Erebus. Steer your ship past it, great Odysseus. The hollow cave is so high up no man could shoot it with an arrow. There lives Scylla, howling and barking horribly. Her voice is puppy-like, but she is dangerous. Even a god would be afraid of her. She has 12 dangling legs and 6 long necks with a gruesome head on each, and in each face 3 rows of crowded teeth, pregnant with death. Her belly slumps inside the hollow cave. She keeps her head above the yawning chasm and scopes around the rock and hunts for fish. She catches dolphins, seals, and sometimes even enormous whales. No sailors ever pass that way unharmed. She snatches one man with each mouth from off each dark-prowed ship. The other rock is near, enough to shoot an arrow right across. This second rock is lower down, and on it there grows a fig tree with thick leaves. Beneath, divine Charybdis sucks back water down. 3 times a day he spurts it up, 3 times she glugs it down. Avoid that place when she is swallowing the water. No one could save you from death then, even great Poseidon. Row fast and steer your ship alongside Scylla, since it is better if you lose 6 men than all of them. I answered, "Goddess, please, tell me the truth. Is there no other way? Or can I somehow circumvent Charybdis and stop that Scylla when she tries to kill my men?" The goddess answered, "No, you fool. Your mind is still obsessed with deeds of war. But now you must surrender to the gods. She is not mortal. She is deathless evil, terrible, wild, and cruel. You cannot fight her. The best solution, and the only way, is flight. I am afraid if you take time to arm beside the rock, she will attack again, with all 6 heads and take 6 more. So row away with all your might. Go fast before the goddess strikes again. Then you will reach the island called Thrinacia, where Helios keeps sheep and many cattle. 50 per herd with 7 herds in all. They never reproduce or die. If you can remember home and leave the cows unharmed, you will last arrive on Ithaca. But if you damage them, I must foretell disaster for your ship and for your crew. Even if you survive, you will return late and humiliated, having caused the deaths of all your men. The golden throne of dawn was riding up the sky as Circe concluded, and she strode across her island. I went back to my ship and roused the men to get on board and loose the sternward cables.